Live. Hello, hello, welcome, ladies. Hi, my name is Taylor Thompson, coming to you live here in the She Network. And I have my beautiful friend here. I'm going to introduce her here in just a second as she stands by. As you're coming on, let us know you're here. Drop us a one, like if this is your first time. If you're on a replay, let us know that. But I would love to know, like, where you're coming from. Like, I'm from Texas. Let me know where you're from. I would love to know that. And because we're on this StreamYard platform, there's a little link up there that allows you to click, and it gives them permission to share your name. Otherwise, we just see Facebook user, and we want to know who you are. So welcome, welcome. We are here with Mom's Monday Mindset. And I have my beautiful friend here, Miss Mary Scott. Mary, how are you today?
I am so good. Happy Monday. I feel like it's Friday already. How about you?
Yes, I don't know. Like I'm telling you, I think it's been a blur with all the quarantine stuff. You would think the time would be a crawl, but I believe for me, it flies by. Like the weeks fly by, and I can't even get a handle on how fast it goes. So
it really does.
It's really crazy.
I can't believe summer's already over with, and all these decisions are coming. Do I homeschool? Do I not homeschool? All these moms are trying to make all these hard decisions right now, but man, what an amazing time that we've gotten to spend with our kids.
Yeah.
The bright side of it.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for just a minute. First of all, I always like to talk about how I know you and how we connected, because I always think relationships, because that was the whole thing about why, I wanted to start this network, is for really women to get to know each other, really get to know their stories, and really get to know who they are, their backgrounds. And so I connected with you because I saw you on social media, and I'm like, I have to know her, and I have to know more about her. And actually, I felt like I already knew you, but you were kind of going through this transition, and I just reached out just to say, hey, like, I'm here for you. Like, let me know. And it was actually before we actually had our first conversation. Our first conversation, I think we were on the phone almost 2 hours.
Yeah, we were. It's funny because I actually followed her for a long time. So I saw you speak before. And when I was new to the industry, trying to find people, if you are new, one thing I say always is go follow people that you love, to like how they shine. There's someone that shines on social media, go follow them. And so what I would do is I would follow all the people that I felt was shining, and you were definitely one of them. So I was honored when she reached out to me, even after the situation. I'm sure we'll probably talk about, but even after the situation, I didn't write back for a while because I was going through that emotional time, but I'm very honored that you even reached out to me.
Well, thank you. And well, anyway, I'm so happy that you're here, and you've got a big journey to share. And so, ladies, gosh, definitely do yourself a favor, grab a pen and take a few notes here, because you're going to get a lot of value for what Mary's going to share, because she's gone through a lot just in her short little venture here, but has had much success in the process. And so, let's talk about it. So you got started, and so tell us about your journey and how you got into this space, how you got into network marketing, how you became an entrepreneur. It was really,
I guess it kind of goes back to the hustle inside of me. I grew up with parents that were heroin addicts. So we were very low income. Not all heroin, obviously, they're not all low income, but we definitely were. We were one of those that were standing in line for Salvation Army gifts on Christmas. My dad had a really great work ethic. He was a commercial crab fisherman, but he would come home, spend all this money on drugs, and then we'd live in this rinky-dink trailer. And so I grew up with struggle. The moment I could start making money, I started making money. So my very first job was at Taco Time in Seattle. And
my very first job was at Taco Villa.
that's
Like,
so funny. See?
that's so crazy. I actually lied. I lied about being 16. I was only 14 and I lied about being 16.
That's so funny.
I wanted money so bad. Oh my God. So crazy.
And I think that, you know, when you grow up in situations that are hard, sometimes you feel either stuck and you have to follow that situation, or you do opposite and you go, you know what, I'm not going to be stuck in the situation. And I've always had the mindset of, I won't be stuck here. I have to get out of this situation. I have to do well in school. I have to go to college. I have to, you know, I never wanted to bring my biggest dream was to have parents that were clean and a normal family. And I thought normal meant clean, which honestly, you know, everyone has a abnormal, you know, family, but my normal was a clean family. And so
you know, I want to talk about that for just a minute, if you don't mind, because I think that this is such an important conversation, because so many times, I mean, it's interesting that you weren't really taught that, but you had this like automatic mind shift. Like, this is not who I want to be. And this is not how I want my family to look. Mm-hmm. What do I need to do? Like I got to get out. Or in some people, I wonder what the difference is between you wanting to get out and some people falling prey to being victim and saying, I'm stuck, I'm never going to get out. Isn't that
my sister was opposite of me. So my older sister was actually opposite. She followed my parents' footsteps for a very long time until she actually just got clean about a year ago. Mm-hmm. And honestly, I believe she did have some learning disabilities, mindset issues. I think I've always been that person that blocks out the negative to see the positive. So if a bad thing happens, I try to see the positive in it. So if I would find my parents' needles, instead of saying, oh my gosh, they're using again, I would go and hide them and bury them and think in my head that was making them clean. So I had this mindset of trying to fix things instead of trying to, which no, we cannot fix everything, but we can take our situations and look at the positive. And my sister always struggled. Like, she would memorize, like she could tell you what happened, you know, at age 5 today. And I would be like, I don't remember that, you know, because that's kind of how you have to deal with things when you're in a situation that's bigger and that takes your soul away in reality, is that you have to know, you know, this isn't forever. God has a purpose. He has a plan. And if you stay in that situation, you're staying in the enemy's lies. And so often people like to sit in misery with the enemy's lies.
So now, you know, because I know we talked a lot about this, you know, about your faith. And so, you know, were you raised with that faith? Were you raised around that? When did that start being, you know, a staple or a foundational principle for you? How did that come about?
My grandma, so I was raised by my grandma a lot, for a lot of my life. And she was actually, I don't even know how to explain what she believed in, because it was so out of whack, like different levels of heaven, different, like, it was just a weird reincarnation reincarnation. Like, there was just so many different things that she believed in. And so at first, that's what I thought was, you know, what happens is that, oh, we're reincarnated. But then when I started just going, there's a church down the road from my house, and I was 12 years old, and they had a youth group. And so I ended up just going one day and kept going back every Wednesday night, then started, you know, one of the youth pastors and his wife really invested in my life just to pour into me. And I started leading worship at my church. And, you know, it's just funny how God worked. And, you know, my grandma and I would get into these heated arguments over the Bible and all of this, but I stood my ground. I stood my faith. And I never And even to this day, whenever somebody's talking about astronomy or astrology, I'm like, oh, because I grew up with it, and it always gave me this weird, gross feeling. It was something God obviously put something heavy in my heart from a young age that this isn't right, you know. And when I finally did go to church and got saved, it was more of a, this is right, this is home, this is where I'm meant to be, and this is what I want to be like. And I just kept, you know, feeding into the Bible. I went to a Bible college, Northwest College in Washington State, in Kirkland. And I just really felt like, even though my parents and I didn't grow up in that, God obviously had a reason to continue to grow me and where I was. So.
Well, so you were already like involved in, so your Taco Time, right? You had this first job at Taco Time. So then that led to going to theology school. Is that
eventually? So I went to high school, took a year off of high school. Then I went to Northwest. It's now Northwest University. Used to be just Northwest College, but they changed. And it's a Bible school, college. And I went there, and, honestly, I went there thinking that I wasn't good enough. Again, like I got good grades in school, got my first year in high school. I probably didn't do as well. I was kind of bouncing around, but I learned how to suck up to teachers, honestly. My school was very in the inner city, and, any of the good kids got A's. And so when I got, I graduated with a 3.8. It wasn't like, oh, she was book smart. It was, oh, she was life smart. She knew how to talk to people and knew how to build relationships. And that's what all I did with my with my teachers. And then when I went off to college, I was like hit with a load of bricks because I didn't know how to study. I didn't know how to focus. I learned very quickly, but I'll tell you what, they weren't taking this nice girl, Mary McAllister at the time, and allowing, that to be my grade like it was in high school. So
that's so funny. That's really parallel, because I was like that same way in high school, got straight A's, like my validation, and, things always came very easy until college. I mean, that was my journey. I get that. So that was, did you ever feel like, once you went through there, did you start feeling a little lost because grades and everything was like my validation, right? How I was validated because I wasn't getting validated from home, right? And so whenever you go away from that, and now you lose who you are, like
I actually ended up dropping out 2 years in. That's funny that you say that. So I dropped out 2 years in because of that, because I am a words of affirmation person. So if somebody's not telling me, good job, way to go, I'm like, shoot, I got to quit because this isn't me. So I actually, from there, I met my husband, which is, we not at that college, but actually we met at a nightclub in Seattle, which is so weird because we're totally not the nightclub people. And so when he asked me for my phone number and he called me, I was like, okay. I picked up. I was actually working at a spa at this time, and I was still going to Northwest College, and I was doing horrible. But he actually called me, and I was like, okay, I got to call you back because I'm at work. And so I'm thinking while I'm at work, like, what am I going to tell this guy? How am I going to like get him off of my back? Jesus, I'm going to bring up Jesus. So I call him back, and I'm like, I don't know why I was at this nightclub. That's not really me. I actually help lead worship at my church, and I love God, and, basically trying to end it saying, okay, bye. Right. And he's like, well, that's kind of funny because I actually play guitar for my church. And,
wow.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, who is this guy? So we started talking more and more. And we met in September, got engaged in December, got married in April, and we've been married 16 years. So,
wow, what a great story.
So when I met him, I actually didn't go back to school. That was the first year I didn't go back to school. So I was working full time. And I didn't go back to school that year, but I started I actually got fired, and I'd never been fired from a position before. And it was because it was new ownership of the spa, and he wanted, I don't know, it was just a weird situation. But so I started in banking, and I started being a teller, and then I decided to do mortgages, and one thing led to another, and I ended up running a mortgage company. No degree, I did get my brokerage license, and in Hawaii had a very successful, so my husband and I got married, moved to Hawaii, ran a very successful mortgage business, got breast implants. And that's when I started getting sick.
Okay, so this is this is
Mhm.
this is a lot of journeys. So
Mhm.
I mean, first of all, like it's not a coincidence, first of all, like how you and your husband came together. I love
Mhm.
what a great story. But how your steps led you, because I really think being an entrepreneur and being entrepreneurial minded always leads you to do something, to lead, right? And
Yes.
I
It's
think
so
that
true.
obviously, from the way that you were raised, the things that
Mhm.
you had to overcome, those challenges, causes you to, figure it out, right? How
Mhm.
do I figure it out? And
Yeah.
I think that's the mindset of most entrepreneurs, to
Yep.
not have a background, to not have the education, and to ultimately start your own mortgage business. Like,
Mhm.
that's
Yeah.
powerful. So, okay, so I really want to talk about this. So, ladies, like, this is a very kind of pretty sensitive subject, and I want to share this because I think it's more and more prevalent in our
Mhm.
space, especially as women. And after having this whenever Mary started sharing this with me, I was like, okay, I really 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 want the ladies to hear about this, because you came in and you tapped into this subject before it was even a subject.
Mhm.
So I really like for you to talk about this because, more and more women have implants.
Yep.
It's more prevalent than it's ever been. It seems more the norm than not. And so you got your implants in what year was that?
Yeah. So I got my implants in 2005. Um, Honestly, I was so excited to get them because, well, I'm flat. And I felt like that was me becoming a woman. I don't know about, if you have implants, you might understand either you got them because, hey, you breastfed and they got saggy, or you got them because you were flat, or you got them to feel more sexy, or you got them to fit tops better. There's lots of different reasons why. Or I have friends that have gotten them because their breasts are uneven. And so I felt like I was married. My husband loved it. He met me before implants, but I didn't feel sexy. I felt like it's funny because my first friend got breast implants and I was like, oh, wow, I need some of those. And so I was making great money I was making great money. Why not? Everyone was getting them at this time. So I got my implant.
And I mean, it's such a thing, and I just makes me wonder if it's partly society. I mean, it's
Oh,
partly
it's
how we validate and see ourselves.
Yep.
The things that we look and social media and all of those things, and like, okay, and then we go through the comparison thing. I mean, I'm guilty of it. I'm certainly guilty of it myself.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's interest. I mean, it's just interesting how women think. I mean, let's talk about it, ladies. Like, I mean, I would never have done it for a man, but I did it for me. So I
Mhm.
totally get where you're coming from.
And we're our own worst critics. I don't know. It's funny because people would always tell me, Mary, you look fine. Why would but we are our own worst critics. And a lot of times, I would say even after explanting, you need counseling more for body dysmorphia than anything, because your mind is telling you something that nobody else sees.
Yeah.
So you're just comparing it to somebody that's filtered their stomach or filtered their, whatever it is that they have.
Right.
Through, and a lot of times with social media, it gets worse and worse. Now, my time, we just had MySpace, so it wasn't like there was picture overload in 2005, but I still got them. I got them in. It's so weird because the doctor was creepy. I didn't go to a bunch of doctors to go, check. I was just like, all right, here's my money game. Sign me up, put them in, and he put them in. And actually, it's funny because I didn't start getting sick then. Like I did start feeling more insecure though, because I noticed that women started looking at me differently. Like I was a sex object, like they couldn't trust me around their husband. And it could have been me internally too, but I felt like my friendship started to die down almost because I felt fake and I felt like there was something wrong, right? I was very outgoing. So I ran this mortgage company very well. I've always been an introvert, extrovert. Like I do have to go and like have my me time and whatnot. But I was very, very outgoing. But for some reason, after I got my implants, like I just started feeling blah. Like It was almost like I couldn't focus on what somebody was saying. So I just pulled back a lot from relationships, almost a brain fog type feeling. But I didn't get sick until I started actually getting some scar tissue buildup in one of my breasts, and it got really hard. So it capsulized. So I needed to get new implants. So in 2012, I actually got that scar tissue removed, got new implants put back in, and something with that triggered me to get even sicker. So 3 months after is when I started having heart issues. I started having, I started fainting. I started having night sweats like crazy. I would work out, but I couldn't. The only time I felt like I could breathe good was during cardio. So something was on my lungs. So I ran all the time. But then when I lift towards the end, it was like I couldn't do my full set. So I was training to compete in figure competitions, which is like a form of bodybuilding. And I just started, my thyroid started going crazy. My body just was taking this huge toll. And I finally decided, I started they kept putting me on different medications. And I told you this, like they diagnosed me with all these heart issues. They diagnosed me with hypothyroid. Well, first it was with Hashimoto's. Then I had thyroid storm. Then I had, hypothyroid. Then I had too little of testosterone. Then I had it was just all of these diagnoses that I kept taking medication for. And I kept getting worse and worse. And
so they kept adding medication on medication on medication to try to treat the symptoms.
Yeah, to try to treat the symptoms and then say, oh, this is what's wrong. This is what's wrong. So I had all these health issues and I was taking probably 15 medications a day. And I just started Googling because I started feeling a sharp pain in my breast again, kind of like when my breast capsulized and I started feeling that pain again. And I just started Googling breast implants with thyroid issues. Like it was just happened to, it was not the craze like we are now. Everyone's having breast explant right now. This was 3 years ago when it wasn't a talk. It was actually over 3 years ago. It wasn't it was probably 4.5 years ago, actually. And I ended up finding a group that had about 600 to 700 people in it that all had very similar symptoms and then would explant. And I'd watched this group for like a year because there was no way I was getting my implants out. I love my implants. Remember, they made me a woman. I never wanted to get rid of them.
Right.
And so I decided to continue to like research and watch these women and start talking to different doctors. So I started just trying to talk to a bunch of different doctors, see what their opinions were, talk to some that believed in breast implant illness, some that didn't, went back to my surgeon that actually redid my surgery here in Oklahoma. And she was like, no, you're going to look funny. I left there crying, like, oh my gosh,
Oh my God.
She's like, do not get your implants out. Like, you can get them replaced and get them smaller if that's what you want to do, but you cannot get them out. You're going to look funny. You're going to have the scar tissue, like there were some bad pictures of, because when they take them out, there's all that skin. You do go through a reconstructive process. It takes 15 minutes to put in implants, but it took over 7 hours to take my implants out. So you think about that and taking out the scar tissue. And actually I have a video of him even taking it out and fixing the muscle and everything. It's a crazy process that you have to go through. And I ended up flatlining during the surgery of explant as well. So my heart was
whoa. Like, that's crazy, Mary. Like, flatlining?
Yeah. I didn't find out until about 4 to 5 days after. So I had my surgery done by a guy that he's a great surgeon. I don't think that he's bad in any way. I think my heart just had an issue. I think that he was scared to tell me though about what happened during surgery. And so he actually ended up crying when he told me my story. And I'm like, so I ended up, here's how that all happened. So I kept watching this group and kept watching them. And there was only quite a few doctors that believed in explant and breast implant illness. So I was kind of stuck between two doctors, like, oh, which doctor should I go with? Well, the one that I went with had more confidence. He was like, I can make you look fine. You'll look, it won't look messed up. I promise. Basically he was more confident. The other doctor was like, I don't know. You have such big implants. I had 550 cc's, and going from an A cup to 550 cc is a big implant, a big change. So, I'm trying to find this doctor that can at least make him look okay, even though I know that my health is like,
jeopardy.
Yeah, in jeopardy. But I actually ended up fainting at a car dealership and with my husband and being rushed to the hospital. And that's the moment that I decided I don't care about these implants. I just need to get them taken out, because I felt something in me just told me these have to be taken out or I'm going to end up dying. I just could feel it. And I kept getting worse and worse. And so I actually had called this doctor in Costa Rica, and I told them, okay, I need your soonest appointment. And they're like, well, our soonest, this is in February. This is like February 16th of 2017. Yes, 2017. And he's like, our soonest appointment is March 31st. That's when we can take them out. And I'm like, okay, I'll take it. I hated that it was that, day, but I wanted it out like that second. But then they had a cancellation an hour later for the 23rd of February. So I hopped on a plane the next day to go out to Costa Rica.
They got in Costa Rica. That seems like a little crazy to
And it's weird because God really actually had his hand in this, because my husband and I had gone to Costa Rica twice prior to this, just for vacation. And I felt like a significance there. Like it was almost like, this place, there's something special about it. And I love Costa Rica.
Think about going to another country.
Right? Like, what the heck are you doing? Especially, hello, you're already suffering from, us.
Yeah.
But God just kept telling me, like, this is where I prayed about it and I felt, and I will tell you, I do not regret going there at all. In fact, it was not that like, oh, this is where anybody should go. I feel like you have to, I actually consulted with 25 doctors before. And I feel like you have to have that gut feeling like this is where you're meant to be. And that's how I felt. Now, I will tell you there's good reviews on this doctor and bad reviews on this doctor that I went to. And I think that's with every surgeon, that's with every anything.
Yeah.
But I felt in my heart, that's where I was supposed to go. They took care of me the whole 10 days. They had a nurse there that, I didn't have my kids. So they had hyperbaric chamber, which is like an oxygen that you sit in for 2 hours. I'm telling you, it's the most claustrophobic feeling you'll ever feel in your life. You sit there for 2 hours and literally you cannot be opened up for that 2 hours. So you're in this last thing, but it was night and day. I woke up from that surgery feeling like I could breathe. I didn't know that I would not be on this call right now having a conversation because I would be having too many heart palpitations to be able to have an interview or even speak clearly to help other people at all, because my heart would just randomly go up and go down and go crazy. And then I'd start sweating and I'd start, and it was night and day. Like I never had a single heart issue after explanting. I have not had trouble breathing. I do say to everyone, have a psychiatrist on hand or a psychologist or any kind of counselor on hand, because the biggest part about it is that body dysmorphia. Although I have normal looking boobs, they're not like, whatever. And
listen, I've seen your pictures. You look like most people would love to have your issues. Trust me. Like,
and the thing that you have to always think about too is like, somebody always out there has it worse.
Yes.
It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
And it's not, comparison is the thief of joy. And so we have to remember that a lot of times, especially when you're going through explant, if any of you have gone through it or plan to go through it or are thinking about going through it, remember that comparison is the thief of joy. And God loves you. He thinks you're beautiful, and you are, but you have to embrace it yourself. And so I do think that it does take a little time to understand that feeling of, okay, I'm made for a purpose, and speak out about your story. Because a lot of times, I had some of my best friends that had implants feel threatened because I had to get mine out and felt like, oh, I'm going to talk them into, it's almost like the network marketing thing. When you start a network marketing thing, all of a sudden some of your friends that don't believe in network marketing leave because they're like, oh shoot, she's going to come after me. And that wasn't my intention. Of course, I don't believe everyone gets sick. My intention was to put my story out there for the ones that do get sick. And that's same with network marketing. We share our stories. We all do it. We love our stories. Not to, make it so that every single person comes on alongside us, but it's a gift for those that do decide that it's for them,
And and we'll talk about this, ladies. I wanted ladies to hear your story for those who are maybe in a battle right now and they don't know, or maybe they've been faced with this or this sort of challenge and they don't know what to do or what the answers are, that there's a connection, somebody that they can connect to, because you shared some things with me, and we won't dive into that right now because I want to continue on with the story. But there was a lot of things that you shared with me just about information, good information to know, blood tests, things that you can do to, prepare or to find out more, and give you more tools to equip you. And so anyway, for those ladies who are hearing the story, you may be going through it. You may even know somebody, this Mary would be a great person to be able to help guide and direct, maybe point you and give you some resources. And so that's why we took the time to share this today. So let's talk about now, this transition, now you're okay, you're, what's happening to you now that you've gone through this health deal? How does this all tie into your business today?
What I'm doing now? Well, it's kind of funny because in 2017, in February, I had my explant, and I got back to the gym I was probably walking or doing something by 2 weeks after. And I was talking to one of my girlfriends. I said, I was joking around with her, and I said, I think I need to join one of those direct sales companies just to make some friends. like, because I was like starting to feel normal again. And I was like, all those people like have friends and I don't have very many. And I had a big social media following just from my fitness background, but no real sincere friendships yet. Like I had a couple, you know, but nothing that was like, I don't know, that meant something. And it's kind of funny because I got into this industry thinking that I was a kidnapper. Well, I was a kidnapper. I kidnapped a lot, like throughout everyone's journey. Oh, sure, I'll support you. Yeah, I'll sign up for your business.
I love this. I love this. Not a kidnapper. Kit. Kidnapper. Like,
yes. No, I'm not a kidnapper. No, just a kit. And I call it a kidnapper because we all have been there. We all have bought a sign-up kit, done nothing with the business, never talked to the upline afterwards, never dove in, never got into any part of it. I said I would never have a home party. Actually, I did have one. It was a Melaleuca one 15 years ago. And I was like, y'all are crazy. I love the products. I bought this stinking sign-up thing, but I was like, I'm not going to have more parties. That was it. Like, I was like, no way. And it's funny because I never wanted to do direct sales. Never in my life. I always said I was never going to really do it.
Right.
And so when I decided to sign up with my last company, am I allowed to say the name or should I not?
No, we'll keep it Jeanette. We'll keep it pretty.
Okay. So I signed up with my last company, and it was at the very beginning of that company, and it was 1 month and 3 days after I explanted that I signed up with them. I love
and here's I want to share this too because it's so interesting your story and the way that it unfolds because you know we didn't even talk about like so here you are like your mom you have twins.
Yeah, I'm twins and another girl. Yeah, a girl too.
So mom of three, right? Mm-hmm. Mom of three, and you want to start in direct sales because you've gone through Health Challenge, but it's about because you wanted to have a community. You wanted to have people. You want to have people in your life, not necessarily about the money or anything like that. So I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, no, actually, it's funny because I never knew what kind of money I thought y'all made. I was like, y'all make $20 if that. You spend more than you earn. Like I had the thought of the anti-MLMers of like, I'll support my friends that did it. And have always supported them, always will. But I never wanted to be one of them, I guess, you know, and so I
see. Yeah,
in reality, actually, okay, I was joking around about that part about signing up as for the community, honestly. It probably was some truth in there, but probably I thought I was joking. And when I signed up, I kind of just, honestly, I signed up for the kit to kidnap. I got 12 foundations and I love airbrush makeup. And so you guys can probably know whatever anyways, but I signed up to share that. Well, then I decided, oh, I'm going to share this awesome makeup because nobody else has it. And I loved this kind of makeup before even it was in direct sales. So to me, I already knew it. And I almost, you know, when you were talking about grades and like that, I already felt like a leader because I was one step ahead of a lot of the people that were signing up because I got to teach them and I got to help develop them and I got to develop systems and I got to follow all these. I remember going into Eric Quarry's, you know, one of his groups and like just started following all of his leaders, like, or anybody that had spoken at anything. Cause I was like, okay, I've got to find a way to be like them. Like, cause that's my step here, you know, that's my in. And so I honestly, took this company that I said, if I make $100 a month, I'm giving it back to women that can't afford to breast explant. So there was a lot of women that were starting to join this group, single moms, single wives. And I actually ended up in the first few months raising $40,000 and being able to do
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's talk about this right now. This is such a powerful story right here because, you know, I've always said that women don't necessarily join businesses, but they do join causes. Mm-hmm. And so I love that you created this thing because of something that you felt you love and you were knowledgeable about. You have a passion about this product. And you're like, okay, so if I don't like the money's not that important, but if I could help somebody else, then I can do this all day long. That was your cause. That was your mission. I always talk about the mission is always more important than the commission, always. And if you make the mission first, the commission is inevitable. So 40,000, because you thought if you could make a couple of $100 a month putting to this cause, but what happened now? Let's
The first month I actually ended up becoming their number one seller, number one recruiter, number one team. And I held that out for the entire 3 years that they were around.
Wow.
But the reason, a lot of times people get confused though, because they think that when you said their mission, it has to be your mission and it cannot be the company's mission. A lot of times we want to take credit for, oh, this company, my company is giving back for this. My company is doing this. This company is doing that. But you know what? You're not really doing it. And I feel like a lot of times we take credit for things that us personally aren't doing just because our company is a part of it. I do believe that you have to find a source of your giving back, whether that's in your time, whether that's in your financials, whether that's in your investing in other people, in other leaders, in other programs, in other self-development, whatever it is that you feel like you are lacking or you have to give back in. Yeah. I do believe you will not feel like you're succeeding or good enough, or your products aren't good enough, or something will catch you and the grass will be greener on the other side until it's, you know, a you thing. And that is the biggest thing that's the reason why I did so well. I was on a mission from the get-go for something bigger than myself.
Yes.
And yes, there are the people that I got to see that pay their car payments, that pay their mortgage, that bought new houses, that bought new, you know, those are always great accomplishments that they've attained. And I've done it too, you know, but there has to be something more outside of just things for yourself that you're doing. Whether that's like, I've always given at least 40% back into my team. Why? Because I felt like they do a lot of things for me. So why wouldn't I make incentives? Why wouldn't I give back? Why wouldn't I find a way to help them? And it doesn't have to be 40%. It can be a thank you card. It can be anything that gives somebody some sort of recognition for a call that you're on, anything. And that is how I became successful, is what can I give, not what can I get.
That's a Zig Ziglar thing, right? You help enough people get what they want. What you want comes in return. So here you are. You're having all this success. You're helping these women. You've got this whole foundation thing going. You've got all this other things taking place. Let's talk about what happened just in the last few months, right? Because I think a lot of ladies have been faced with this, and what took place for you and where you are now.
I'll start tearing up. Just think about it. It's funny because this was going to be the year for me. I wanted to hit $1 million in team sales. Like, I had so many great, amazing goals. Like, our team was getting up to 500,000 in sales. We were rocking it. We were, and I just knew that things were clicking. But not only that, is like, I had this hunger for missions. I went to Africa in January, had an amazing trip. I was hungry to go back. Like, I
went to Africa in January too.
I know. I think you guys went the week before me.
Really?
So I went to Uganda, the week after you guys, and I actually watched you and oh my gosh, can't think of her name right now.
Michelle. Michelle.
You and Michelle's like Facebook all the time because I was like preparing. Oh, what should I wear? Oh my gosh, okay, they have these hats. They have this, because you're going to this place that you have never, like if you've never been to Africa, I tell you what, I've had this nudge to go since I was a kid for some reason. And so to me, this was like something I had to go and do. And I will go back eventually. I wish COVID would hurry up and go away and I'd go tomorrow. But I will tell you, Africa was amazing. I am hungry to go back. One of my best friends, she actually helps save children from sex trafficking. So she's really involved in that area. So she was like, Mary, come with us to Africa. This is actually a safe mission. We're going into the orphanages. We're going into different towns. And so I was like, okay, I'll go, obviously I'd love to go and save children from sex trafficking. And I think that's awesome. She's such a brave woman, but I knew that that was a little too dangerous. So this Africa trip was perfect for me because it wasn't as like they go and buy the children. But anyways, yeah. So I went to Africa. I came home. I was on my flight from Dallas to Oklahoma. My sister messaged me and said, Mom is in the hospital. This is my mom that's used drugs for a long time. She OD'd. I don't think she's going to live. This was hard for me because I definitely cut ties with her for a while because after my dad passed away, she wanted to move to Oklahoma. I'm from Seattle originally. And so she wanted to move to Oklahoma. And I was like, no, I can't have you in my house because of my kids. And I didn't want my kids raised around that. And if she'd start using again and, I couldn't fix her. I knew I couldn't fix her. And so, I hadn't seen her since my dad had passed away in 2016, but we had talked every so often because, obviously I'd give her money here and there or whatever, but she was homeless and she ended up, this is right before COVID got crazy in Seattle. It was February 8th. I went there and she's on a ventilator. A lot of people, if you were friends with me or follow me on Facebook, you watched that whole week of her on the ventilator and me saying my goodbyes. And probably one of the hardest times because I felt like I could have saved her. I could have done something more. And I'm still processing all that. But so meanwhile, COVID happens and my mom passes, and that was a hard thing. There was a lot of shady things happening in my business as well. Like we would be losing customers to our retail side. It was just a lot of weird things that were happening. So I had a call with the CEO shortly after my mom passed away. I'd say about 2 weeks after. It was in February. And he was like, Mary, just give me 10 days. Things are going to be fixed. We're just working on everything. Everything's going to be so great. I literally had this conversation recorded because I felt like the trust wasn't there anymore. I've been in this business for 3 years. I had seen a lot of shady.
You were the number one. You were the top earner in this.
Yeah, top earner, number one for pretty much everything: sales, recruiting, for team sales, team volume. I surpassed my upline. I was their number one person. And so I had talked to him maybe a total of 3 times while I was in this company. So he wasn't very invested, but I didn't know better, remind you, because I wasn't with other companies. I had nothing to compare it to. So I didn't, I just figured that's how they all were. Like all CEOs were like, whatever about their consultants or their top leaders. I never realized like, oh, they're supposed to care about you. So I actually took this product and made it mine. Like I felt like this product was mine. It was my baby. I was customer service for a long time. I was shipping for some of the time. I was, replacing bottles I would do everything it took to make this business run if it wasn't running smoothly, or even I would think of the excuses to make for him if he was falling short. And so 10 days, it was supposed to be on March 2nd. Our business was supposed to be all changed and everything was going, oh my gosh, our business is going to change. They just launched a rewards program. And I kind of noticed that our rewards program was more geared towards the retail side, but I was like, well, we want to be different. I was thinking, okay, I'll make this, whatever. But in April, March was kind of a bad month. It was one of those months where obviously COVID happened. It was our team sales went down about 20%, which isn't too bad, but it's still, it's still down, not up. But considering what was happening, it was really hard to sell. I honestly didn't feel right selling in March because I was still checking myself, still, like, oh my gosh, lots happened in a little time. And April started off strong. April, we were like, our team was on fire. We were like, okay, you know what? Let's do challenges, makeup challenges, get people to at least start doing their makeup because they'll feel better if they just put on some makeup and not sitting around all day during COVID. Let's do all these challenges. So I'm thinking of different ways. We actually were supposed to have this big recruit launch. So like it was $49 signups. You know how every company had one. Well, we didn't yet. And so we kept asking and begging, like, can we just have something to help people start a business or make some money during COVID times? And so finally they were like, okay, on this day, we're launching this $49 sign up. And so we were super excited. We got 5,000 people into a group. We got people pumped. We had all these different giveaways to like get the excitement going, get the rally the troops. All these people were invested. That day that it was launching, it didn't launch. So we were like, what's going on? Why is it not launching? We have all these people waiting. Like we're supposed to go live right now. Like it's almost like having a home party and not showing up to the home party. Like all these people are waiting for you, but you're not there. So we kept asking like, hey, is it going to happen today? And they're like, no, we're having IT issues. So we had to get on there and say, I'm sorry, we're having IT issues, gave that excuse, gave the lie. This was the weekend before Easter weekend. So it was supposed to launch on a Thursday, didn't launch Friday. Obviously it wasn't going to launch during Easter weekend. And I had actually started to feel in my gut, something wasn't right. Something was going to happen. And, so I started writing everyone at corporate, like, is everything okay? Do you guys need help? I wrote the CEO. Is there anything I can help with? I know COVID is tough. Maybe if we can just, I started trying to give different ideas, started trying to, help in any way I could to whatever it was. But I had this gut feeling something was going to happen. And he wrote me back, yes, COVID's hard. What usually takes us, an hour to do, it's taking us days to do. And so Easter weekend passes. The next Tuesday, the 14th of April, we got, or maybe it was the Wednesday, we got a letter saying that they were closing the direct sales side.
So literally this whole time, like you're waiting, anticipating, getting ready to explode your team. All the while they had plans to literally pull the rug out from under you and your entire team.
Yeah.
That's literally what happened to you.
Yeah.
With no recourse. You had no recourse to.
No. I mean, it's funny because I reached out the following week when I started to feel something in my gut. I did, like sometimes you just have to listen to your gut. I'm telling you, because my gut always talks to me, and I did feel like something wasn't right. And so I did talk to a couple of leaders that I know that weren't in a direct sales company because I didn't want to tell anybody that was invested already to try to, honestly, I wanted to make my own decision. Like if I was going to go anywhere else, if I wasn't going to stay in this industry, if I wasn't, I was like, I just needed to talk to somebody. So I reached out to a friend and he was like, hey, he did give me some like helpful information of places to look, oh, you could look at this company. I didn't take any of those. Like, I didn't go with any of those, but he did say, hey, I would keep this on the DL until you know for sure, of course. And I did. I wasn't sure. This was just my gut. Like, I just wanted, one, if this was gonna blow up, then I wanted to be prepared. But
well, I mean, and like, first of all, like, I mean, this is a lot to all process, the fact of, going through with what you did with your mom, then we have all of these outer situation, and then, your company to literally pull the rug out from under you.
Yeah.
And so, like, I can't even imagine how, like, the emotional devastation that you must feel, the betrayal, the I mean, all of those emotions tied up, that you were loyal and they weren't, and, and not just for you, but your team, your people, your humans, all the ones that were depending on the check, they built, they trusted, they put their hearts and they put everything in, they invested, it was all the chips in. What did you, so, I mean, how do you deal with that? What did you do? Because I mean, like, this is a great story. Like, I love what you did. I mean, this really goes back to how you were raised, in my opinion, Mary. I mean, like, the strength, the wherewithal, the bootstrap. But what do you
do? Well, I grieved a ton first. Like, I cried a ton, and it wasn't mainly for, oh, I lost the money or I lost this. It was mainly that the family was dividing. So people were running and sprinting to places because they thought, oh, if I sign up here quick, then, I could have this huge team here, and I'm like, I'm kind of in this, like, I am not settling on, I'm not going to just go anywhere. Like, I literally met with CEO after CEO, which not many people get to do. I'm very, very thankful and honored for all the CEOs that did, talk to me and reach out and said, hey, here's what we have to offer. And there's so many amazing companies out there. I never even gave a chance to, honestly. Like, yes, I would support people, but I don't think you ever know their business until you really go and you research their business and their industry and what they're doing. And there are so many great companies and great CEOs out there. And to me, it was almost like wow, I feel like next I could be a broker for people looking for direct sales companies, because there are so many really good ones out there and there's some that are not so good. Yeah. I felt like, oh, I know everything. No, I don't know everything, but I definitely had the opportunity to really get real with a ton of CEOs out there, and sit down and hear where their heart was and if it aligned with mine. And honestly, I wasn't going to get back in this industry. I was like, you know what? I'll get into coaching. I love helping women. Like, I love makeup. I love health and fitness. I'm pretty much, I mean, I'm certified to train, so I could go and do training. I could, like, I always say, like, I have a lot of tools in my pocket on my belt. So, like, to me, I was like, man, I love just to help. So my husband has a successful business that's not in direct sales. And so, like, we could just do that and I could continue homeschooling. And I really thought about this long and hard. I didn't run. I didn't, like, sprint off to the next company. I actually wrote down something that was like, this company doesn't have airbrush makeup, I'm not signing up. Or if they won't have airbrush makeup, I'm not signing up, because I loved it. Was different. Like, honestly, like, I probably wrote it down because I was comfortable in that. And now I could see myself doing a lot of different things because I know it's not just about that product anymore. But I did write that down because I was like, trying to talk these CEOs into launching a product, they were like, I have no idea what you are talking about. Like, I would end up trying to sell them basically on an airbrush makeup. So anyways, I ended up going with a company that I felt, honestly, and like we said, I won't say what company that is or anything like that, but it was, the reason why was because the comeback that was going to happen in this CEO. And I knew that I needed to be a part of that comeback. I wanted to be a part of his win. I wanted to be a part of it's newer, so I felt like I knew that newer feeling of when I started with Luminess, and this time it didn't have a retail side. I'll tell you, that was a big error for me. And if there are companies that have a retail side and they're doing well, I mean, good for them. I just knew, for me personally, that was like something that was the no-go. I already competed with a retail side. I grew a business competing with a very large $2 billion retail side and grew it very well. And so I was like, you know what can I do without competing against a retail side? What could I accomplish? How many lives could I change? What kind of systems could I put together for something different or for a comeback? So I did end up going into a company and really launching May 1st. And, yeah.
So let's talk. I mean, so that's a lot. I mean, like, to go from this to have to have the success, to be the top earner, to be the number one, to go through all of these challenges, and to launch with a brand new company May the 1st, and still in the middle of all of this craziness going on. What's happened? Tell us what's happened since, in just this less than 90 days. Like, tell us where you are. What's taken place?
So, one thing I will explain to you, if you're in a company and you are a leader, or even if you have 10 people or 2 people or 1 person on your team, not everybody's going to follow you. I'm just going to say it. Not everybody's going to follow you. I think that, and that's okay. Honestly, I knew that, and I honestly wanted my girls to find their homes before I did. Why? Because I didn't want to be selfish. I didn't want them to feel like, oh, I was just after the money. Oh, I just wanted them to be a part of this. A lot of them had already gone to different companies, and that's when I announced that I was somewhere else. So we have a little, I went from having a team of 3,500, and we are now on month 3, and we have about 350 now on our team. I've ranked up to rank 8, which out of 12. So I am one of, I think, 3 now. I'm not the top yet, but I'll get there. Just because I have that ambition. Like, I have that, yeah, I love to help people, but let me just tell you, I also have a little competitiveness in me as well. And so to me, I'm like, yay, this is fun. Let's go for this. If I'm ranking up, that means everyone else, I'm helping a lot of people. And I always want my girls to rank up. And so my goal is to get at least 5 girls to rank up ahead of me. So if you are a leader in this industry, and if you don't have a goal for your team to rank up ahead of you, and you're always thinking, oh, of course you want to, I don't think you're big until you at least have 2 people that have ranked up above you. And I never got that opportunity with Luminess. I wanted to celebrate those people that ranked up, and my goal is to get those 5 people. And but we're not there yet. We are, I will be, and I'm excited for it. But the biggest thing that I feel that everyone should have is a CEO that cares. If you do not have a CEO that you feel, he may not, or she may not have reached out to you, may not have, but you can feel like they actually care.
Yeah.
Then it's time to go. Because I always questioned, like, in the back of my head, like, am I on the show punked? Like, that's what I'd always say, because, like, there would always be weird mishaps with my last company, always things that were not sitting right with my stomach. And I'd be like, okay, I'm waiting for Ashton Kutcher to come out and tell me that I'm being punked, like all the time. And I would say that to one of my close friends that was a business partner of mine. I'm like, oh my gosh, if you ever feel like that, there's something that's wrong. And I have not felt that way with this company. I have felt full support from the CEO. In fact, he texts me all the time. If you're a top leader and your CEO is not contacting you at all, I feel like there's something wrong. Because honestly, it's supposed to be a family. That community that you have is so important. And I think that, yes, there are some that obviously don't. But I know for me personally, if you are a words of affirmation person, you need that you need that from to excel.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, I think this is such a great story. This is a great story because, you're still in the process, that through the journey, but like, look what's happened as I can't wait to hear like where you are a year from now, after going through this, because, a lot of times people would have let that defeat them, and again, I still think it goes back to the way you were raised and the challenges that you had to go, okay, I can't think about that. I got to focus on this.
Yeah. And I think, God also plays a huge role. Like if Luminesce never would have said goodbye, I never probably would have left. And I would not have known what a good company is. I would have never known. I thought, in my mind, there was only one good company, and that was Luminesce because I was, a part of it. And in reality, there's so many great companies out there, and you just have to be called to that company and feel it in your heart. And to me, now I support people so much better that are in other businesses or in a different company, because I now know that I don't only have the best company anymore. There's a great deal of amazing, amazing companies, and it's about the leadership, and it's about who inspires you, and it's about what it is you feel in your soul. And there may be those people that you sign up and you're like, they don't feel it as much as you do, and that's okay. Yeah. Let them find where it is. I always say bless and release those that don't feel it, and support their journey no matter where they're at. Because
I love that. I love that. I love what you're saying there, bless and release. Because so many times
that's the biggest word I tell everyone. All my team knows it too. Whenever they have an issue with a team member, I'm like, not everybody feels it. You have to bless and release them, love them, because I'm going to tell you what, this business isn't to serve your purpose. It's actually to serve their purpose. So when you get the mindset of me out of your mind.
That's such a great, this is such a great mindset, even in the today's culture that we're currently living in. Bless and release. Just because I move with a different company or I think differently than you doesn't mean we can't be friends.
Exactly.
And so that's really the culture and the whole environment that we have here. So as we're finishing up, Mary, is there last words of wisdom that you would like to share with the ladies here?
If you're in the midst of any storm, persevere through it. Don't quit. Continue on. Pray. Know God has a purpose and a plan, and really know that, this is whatever you're doing is for a reason. And if it's not, make a reason for it. So.
Ooh, wow. That's powerful. I love that. Well, we've had an amazing time. We had so much to share here. Thank you, ladies, so much for being here today. Thank you, Mary, for taking time away from family and business to share.
Thank you.
And I know that you're going to have I can't wait to hear about what you're going to be training in with your systems and stuff, whatever leave here. So us ladies, we're so glad that you were here. I hope you have a blessed, amazing Monday with Mom's Monday Mindset. We're here in the She Network. So that's it for us. See See you soon. Bye.